Is that through here?
Holy shit, I think we're actually working.
Hello.
I'm
alright.
Welcome finally. Oh, Jesus Christ, we had more than a lot of technical difficulties there. I think it's still going. Guys, if there's anyone watching still, please give me a comment. Let me know whether it's still working okay, or shoot me a message. But I'm just gonna. I'm try not to move the camera. I think it was a live stream actual problem, not on this end. So I'm gonna try and set this up so we can actually get a bit of video, so we can actually see what's going on. We got some. Well, we probably shouldn't be moving it too much, but I'll give it a crack. Anyway, we eventually got there. I'll see if I can get the video to actually be in the right place. That's friggin' close enough.
Is that still going through there, or is that going from you now?
No, it's still going through there.
That's only got 500 meg. 500 meg.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, theoretically we might be dying rather quickly, but I don't know why we lost service anyway. Sorry, so it's a drink-worthy occasion. But I do believe it was a live stream thing, not an us thing. If anyone can comment and tell me whether it's actually working, that would be appreciated. I know there's 8 people watching. Hello, 8 people.
I think it's working. We've got an email saying that we're live.
Oh, cool. And it's 1434 kilobytes per second, so we should have halfway decent picture anyway. They're probably going to have to do an abridged version now of what I was going to talk about tonight anyway, but I'm just going to drink beer for starters. I'm Diamond Dave. On the right hand side of me here, I've got Greg. Can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes you just might find you get what you need. Beatty, thanks Benny. Sorry man, it was a bit delayed, and there's a empty chair here where Steve Duff is
absent.
He got a phone call. So anyway, thanks Benny. I'm just gonna really do an abridged version because we've got commitments, sponsorship options. We've got to go and do pole dancing and stuff like that, and maybe blue light disco. But
no, you're banned from the disco, mate.
Oh yeah, we're not allowed disco. After last time, I'm fairly certain after the first episode of Diamond Dave Live that world peace was achieved. Sorry, and we finally got on the left hand side of me,
welcome to the chair.
Rod Builder Extraordinaire, Steve Duff. Absolute guru. Now, the other thing was, after the last episode too, Donald Trump actually rang for an endorsement for his presidential campaign because he was very happy with the show, but I said no, I declined.
It was quickly refused, yeah.
I didn't like his hair.
Peace.
Hair piece. Now, since we've got Duffy here, 2 piece, hair piece, 1 piece.
Has he got hairpiece?
not hair piece, hair piece.
Hair lip.
So, I've got Duffy here, and we're going to really try and scale this back a fair bit, but such is life. But since we've got the ability to pick his brain, I've got some questions for him, and they're just off the cuff because he doesn't know what I'm going to ask him. But if you're designing a rod, a new rod, like say for example the Flip and Ripper, or whatever it happens to be, from concept to creation, what do? You think of something that needs to be done, or does someone request something that needs to be done?
I generally piece together, I have an idea within myself, and I'll piece a blank together from pieces of about 18 inches long, and to get the taper that I'm after for what I'm looking for. Then I send it off to the factory to be done. Once it's come back, I mark it where I want it to be changed, because the first couple always have to be changed until I get what I need, and then we go from there.
Okay. So say hypothetically someone rings you up and says, listen, I'm thinking I want a rod, I want it like 9'7". I want to just punch out like 1/8 of an ounce jig heads into timber. I think it's going to be an awesome rod. Are you just going to say, look, listen, no?
Pretty much. Pretty much. I've got a catalogue of blanks that I use, that I've developed. If I've got something that will fit the needs, then we'll go to that blank. Or I'll look and see if I can find a blank that's already been made that we can develop to that blank. But pretty much, I'm not going to develop a one-off blank for somebody, but I will develop a series of blanks for a series of rods.
Okay. So, and forgive the stupid questions, but say for example, someone like a frequently asked questions kind of thing, like you field phone calls from people who ring up about rods. First question they probably ask is how much is it going to cost.
Yep.
Yeah. So theoretically, in for a custom rod, what's the variance in price from the bare bones to top shelf bling bling rod?
Pretty much a bare bones rod. A lot of it's dependent upon guide trains. So the guides that we use,
the parts in the motor.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so whether we're using straight alkanites through to torsites and SICs in between, and we're going to be looking somewhere between $540 and up to about $670 for a custom unit.
Yep.
If it's a production rod that I've got within the lines of what I do, then we're going to be looking somewhere between just under $400 up to somewhere just under $550, depending on what guide train that we put on the rod.
Okay,
That was some of the new ones you were talking about today that
Yep.
you're just producing now.
Yeah, we've got a new one out called the Broken Bone series, which is built upon the Fuji SKS skeleton seat. And that's going to be done within a production series between $399 and $499.
Okay, cool. So that's basically so someone can get into a pretty shit old rod at a relatively inexpensive price. Who's Reverend? What's that?
That'd be me.
Oh, that's something Mark Ferguson. Hey, Mark. And I always like to ask my Diamond Dave Shining 5 questions. Now, number one, what is your favourite waterway to fish?
My favourite waterway anywhere in the world is probably Foster.
Foster. You're a Foster wreck man.
Yeah.
And if you had to have one rod for life, what would it be?
Probably within the X or the T series, the 840. So it's a 7 foot 1 to 4 curler.
7 foot 1 to 4 spin rod.
Spin rod.
Beautiful work. Now, greatest fishing achievement?
Simple. 2006 ABT Brim Grand Final.
And what made you win that grand final?
Dave's wife's sandwiches.
Very good, thank you. That's one.
If you watch a Megs, don't believe a word he says. I did eat them.
You didn't eat them. I'm telling you, you didn't eat them. When you're fishing an event, who is your most feared competitor? Does it vary, or are we talking? You've got.
I don't have a feared competitor. I fear the fish.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much with what I do, I look at it as a point. It's not me against Dave or Greg.
Yeah.
I've got to catch 5. If either of those guys catch 5 on the brim side bigger than me, then they're going to win. On the bass side, if they're catching 2 a day bigger than me, then they're going to win. If I catch 2 bigger,
I think that's pretty important for a lot of people to feel the same way, mate. You shouldn't worry about what other people are doing.
No.
Otherwise you're not concentrating, basically. So
if you start worrying about what someone else is doing on the water, your game's shot to pieces for the day.
exactly.
Just go catch your 2 bass, go catch your 5 brim. And then you're in the mix somewhere. You can't win an event realistically unless you get a limit.
That's right.
Even though I have won a brim comp with 3 fish, but
Yeah, but that's on an exceptional tough time.
that's exactly right.
I think you came 7th with one at one point in time.
Yep.
Now we know you're a rod builder. You're a passionate fisher. What else do you do? What else you got in the cards? What kills your time?
When I'm not working, which takes up about 14 hours a day, 8 days a week if I let it, and I'm not out fishing with mates, I go sailing. I race sailboats. So
you're a bit of Rod Stewart action.
yeah, a little bit of that. No. I've got a pretty quick catamaran.
Not the off the record Rod Stewart action.
And,
Until we actually talk his sailing.
With Taj also, your son, he's going gangbusters at the moment.
He's my young bloke Sales. He's just competed in nationals in states for minnow championships. He won the 125 state championships with his partner Charlie on the 125 they sail, which is a little two-handed sailing dinghy that's 12 feet long. So yeah, that's as much as I'd like him to be into fishing, which he is. Sailing's his go.
Beautiful.
Stick and rag boats.
Beautiful.
Stick and rag boats.
Now I just got to say, just in case of emergency, because we've had technical difficulties like people would not understand. I think the stars and moons were out of alignment. In case it all shuts itself down, I'm not going to reboot it tonight because we've got a reservation for dinner. We're going to go get a feed, so just keeping that in mind. Now we are down here pre-fishing for the Blue Rock Bass Australian Nation event. Beautiful waterway. The water's down a lot this year, but one thing I have to raise, because we've got a bit of a brain trust here and there's a few boys watching and hopefully ladies watching that know what's going on. Blue Rock, at this point in time, there's only 15 entries in the event. Now, it's probably going to be the smallest event this year. Last time we were at Blue Rock, I think it was only 17. Now, I've got in terms of looking down the entry list, we're in Victoria. There's one Victorian person entered, and he's right there. Everyone else is from New South or Queensland.
That's on the boater side. There's a couple.
That's on the boater side. There's
on the co-anglers.
Some Vic co-anglers, non-boaters, whatever you want to call them. But boys, why do you guys think that there is a limited number of entries to this Blue Rock event?
Victoria's based mostly around a Brim series.
Yep.
And a lot of the guys haven't got into the bass side of it yet. And unless we promote it properly, they'll stay with the bass side. And the other side down here is Victoria's also been known for the last 30 odd years as an estuary perch fishery, not a bass fishery. And it's now turning into
starting to come online, but
it's a super bass fishery.
We've got some great bass in at the moment.
Pretty much everywhere between here and the New South Wales border is being stocked heavily by fisheries with bass.
I've seen some photos the other day. Dave actually showed me them the other day of which dam was it, Dave?
Bull and Merry.
Bull and Merry,
Bull and Merry,
there's
yep.
some cracker fish caught over there.
Yeah.
Very fat fish. They look like fish you would see coming out of Grahamstown Dam or something like that. They were pretty sensational.
Bull and Merry's the original stocked bass fishery in Victoria. It's on the western side. Of where on that side of Victoria now they're putting more estuary perch into a lot of the lakes. And this side they're stocking heavily with bass. And that's why this side's starting to come on.
So, I mean, the thing sitting in the back of my head is that if you're a Victorian bass fisherman and you want to fish Bass Australian Nation, there is one Victorian event. If you're attempting to qualify for the grand final, you have to do realistically 4 events. So you'd have to do 2 New South, travel possibly to Queensland for 1. It's not a massive incentive for the people in Victoria, the bass anglers in Victoria, to fish events.
That's for AOY.
It is for, it's actually to qualify for the final.
But qualify through AOY points. They've also got, being a Victorian, being a local, they've got the opportunity to pre-fish.
Oh, and that'd be the best bit.
If they come first or second, they auto qualify.
First or second, they're in. So
that's the other way.
And that, you always have to back yourself. But the local boys, I don't get. Look, there's no reason why there shouldn't be 20 or 30 boats in this. There's a lot of people this time around that haven't entered that were in it last time. So look, it's a burgeoning fishery down here in Vic. You've got potentially Blue Rock, Narracan, Glen Maggie, Bull and Merry.
Koa they're stocking, and all the rivers as well.
Yeah. So theoretically, you could have 2 or 3 events down here as part of a series. So
the Snowy River itself is stocked heavily, and it's
Marlow, and that was, I remember Marlow being possibly on the cards for an event at one point in time. So look, we really would like to see more Vic boys enter. I travel a lot. Duffy travels a lot. Beats travels a lot. It's part of what we do, so it is a massive commitment. But I do understand that down in the Victorian side of the fence, there's a lot of choice. So you could have, whether it's Vic Brim, even the Southern Squidgy boys are coming down this way now. whether it's ABT if you want to tie up your time there. I would say give the bass a go, because once you hit them, you probably won't look back. I've got a comment there. What the hell? On the internet. Oh yeah, Benny, you probably would. Just roll up and back your tinny in and have a go. Ben's question was he on those numbers he'd have a crack.
But on that note, Dave, if you go back into stats at, say, this place, for the last few years with the amount of fish that have been going in, they've been smaller fish, 32s through 36s. This year, that year class has jumped right up. 3 weeks ago, we're catching 38s to 46s.
Get down here and fish it, people.
It's a hell of a lot of fun. You get a fish of 46 on grabbing a beetle spin or a plastic or whatever you're throwing, and I'm not giving any hints away of what to throw. But you throw that, you get a 46 grabbing the end of it. It's a lot of fun.
I suppose you've got to also look at the other issues that may be, which may be clash of tournaments.
A lot to choose from.
It doesn't matter what you do. You normally pick, 1 or 2 series, because seriously, it's a lot of money and a lot of time. So if you pick 1 or 2 series, well, you're sort of stuck and governed by when they are and what they're doing, and you may be able to fit the odd other one in if they don't clash, or if you've got enough time in between tournaments to get your biggies together and keep the family happy and whatnot.
Yep.
So on the back of that, on the absolute reverse, you've got something like the Atomic Southern Brim Series, which is with arguably the most participated series in Australia at the moment. When you're getting upwards of 70 teams at an event, teams of 2, it's pretty hard to argue that they're very successful. Now, why is it successful? Is it the entry fees minimal? It's relatively localised. Most of the guys that fish it, it's not a stretch to go to the events. They could be local. They could be there and back in a day. A lot of them are one-dayers. You've got a couple of 2-day events, I think, off the top of my head. But while we're talking about the Atomic Southern Brim Series, I'm just going to ring the doctor, Dr. Nick Rowe, because he's probably. I'm hoping he answers the phone, because we've had friggin' technical difficulties. Oh, look at that.
Hey mate, how you doing?
Dr. Nick Rivera Ray, how you going?
Good mate.
Man, I don't know if you're watching, but we're talking about series.
Yeah, you got Beats there and you got the Dustman. How you going, boys?
Good mate, how are you?
How are you, mate? Congrats for the other week.
Yeah, we're just talking about the participation in events, and like the Southern Brim Series, arguably has the most entrants in it. Why do you think it is?
Well, I think it's because, as you know, the Southern Brim started a long, long time ago.
Yep.
And then it became the Shimano Southern Brim Series, and now it's gone back to the Southern Brim Series. So it's probably been around for a good 10 years. It's not really a new series.
So it's Atomic Brim Series now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Sorry, it is the Atomic. Yeah.
So why is it named after a Blondie song? Did Debbie Harry sings? Or is that the company?
The company, mate, the Lure.
The Lure.
The brand name.
So is it a cost thing? Is it a cost thing that gets people in, or what is it?
Well, I don't know. Like, it could be a return thing. Like the last comp was 80 anglers, and Daryl and myself were lucky enough to win that one at Malakuta, and we walked away with $4,680. You don't even get that for a bets comp.
No, and that was, but that's very good. But it's like, but they don't pay down the field, but it is a top heavy payout, and it is very worthwhile when you get paid. So I suppose.
But they do advertise it and pitch it as a beginner's comp, but it's far from that. Like, you look at the names that it draws at times.
Oh yeah.
So it's open to anyone, and really anyone can win it like any other comp, really. So.
So speaking of Malakuta, I am going down there on the way back to here in a couple of weeks' time, and I'll have a gentleman with me by the name of Gary Harmon, who has never caught a brim before in his life. So how did you do it? Because I've got to take him out and get him onto some brim.
Yep, offshore, no worries. Well, basically, as Prefish you do, you move around a bit, and I can't say we caught anything massive in the Prefish. We just caught fish everywhere, and when I say the deep, we were fishing up behind the sands most of the time for most of the day, and we just kept finding fish around the bait, basically.
Yep.
And so that could have either been the white bait that gets around in there, or small prawns that get around. Then we scooted up to the top lake just to see what was happening up there, and there's no weed in the top lake at all.
Okay.
Not even on the edges or anything. So, unless you get to those edges early in the morning, the fish aren't going to be there later
There's
in the day.
no cover. You got a clear day, and they're not going to be up there. They're going to be out in the middle sculpting.
And I looked at the conditions for the comp, and it was going to be still in currents on both days. So,
And what were you throwing?
I threw most of my fish came on the atomic purple night in the 1/8
Yep.
blade.
Bloody good blade.
Yep. And I was throwing those in 2 foot of water, 3 foot of water, and 13 foot of water. But most of the fish came in that 3 foot depth. And it's no secret. I put up a post saying where I was fishing. I was fishing right at the back of the sands up where the river creek is up the back. I've been up there ducking before.
Yep. We know it well.
That was the third, fourth time I fished it. Place.
So is that up on the white posts, Nick? Up on the flats up there?
Yeah, up the back.
Yep.
Come on. Started on that flat right at the back, and then I think Darryl pulled one on the first day in his first cast, and I said, hopefully it's not his first day, first cast syndrome.
Yeah, that happens.
And then, funny enough, I caught a few blacks on the blade that day, but all the bigger fish were yellows.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
And, fishing them on your the 2-piece rod that you built me, Steve, the 7'4", the 870 two-piece.
Yep.
1 to 3, and I was fishing that with fluoro straight through, 2.5 pound.
Yep. Just what the rod's designed for. Yep.
Yep, silver thread, teeth and stuff, and the fish didn't care. Darryl, he was throwing braid with a slightly longer leader, but definitely the better fish came on that day, coming on the blade on that combination, basically. So,
Nice.
as we all know, fluoro doesn't cost you fish; it's only going to win you fish.
No, exactly. And
right.
in that kind of structure, there's nothing really to threaten you, so why not?
No.
And a 4 and a whatever K payday, that's happy days.
Yeah, we got 3.93 kilos the first day, and then we went back the second day and fished exactly the same place, and we got that bag in the first hour, which was 4.5 kilos.
Nice.
And we just spent the rest of the day trying to upgrade fish, and we had mostly blacks. I think we had 1 yellow that went into the bag, whereas the first day was mostly yellows and 1 big black. But when you're trying to upgrade a 900 gram fish, and you just look at each other going, "This is stupid."
We've been there
We've been there. Malakuta fishery, I think we've all been there
It's
at one
a-
point in time.
It's a freakish
And,
fishery.
and as you know, you look at the fish and you go, "These are awesome quality fish," and then you just think, "Yeah, but how big are they really compared to what else we're getting?"
Yeah, that's
it. Well,
Hey, while I've got you, I always ask people my Diamond Dave Shining 5. Now, I've got to ask you, what was your first tournament experience, and when and where was it?
It would have been St George's Basin. It
Yep.
would have been the Britain Classic. And you'd know the first time because we all got a house down there.
Ah, that one. So,
That was my first tournament.
do you
I think
remember?
I caught 3 fish for the whole weekend or something.
Do you remember where you placed?
I'll be somewhere down the bottom, I think. It wasn't a fantastic event.
It was you came 22nd with 1 fish.
Oh, is that what it was? Yeah, probably not surprised. I had the Titanic at the time, I think it was.
You
too.
did, yeah. The trail, or was it Trailcraft?
Yeah, big
Yeah, the
trout.
big
Yeah,
trailing.
5.3.
And 10 Team 0. Do you remember who won it?
I know you had a show in there somewhere.
No, Kaimi and Brownie won it.
Right, yeah.
Do you remember
Pretty
who-
sure they won on an aerobase flats too.
Well, and that's nowadays
Which
that's a
still
famous set of
produced
flats.
fish,
And would you happen to remember who came 5th?
Oh, that'd be that bloody Diamond in his name, didn't he?
The Byronic Man and myself, we ended up 5th.
That's right.
It was.
You're fishing grubs right down near the base of your boat ramp because it was pretty much flooded, very high water level at the time.
Yep.
And I think in the last half an hour to go, you finished your bag out in the channel near the start.
Exactly. And so the next question was boats you've had, but it was you had the Trailcraft, and now you've got the Pro Strike, and she's you've had that one for a while now.
Yeah, not many Pro Stroke owners sell their boats again.
No, exactly. No, she's held up well. I've been in that one more than once, and she's a not a bad little beast. And
hold the roster.
and what is your single proudest tournament moment?
Oh, it has to be Malakuta.
Really? The
Yeah,
lady? You know you've won comps with me,
I
yeah?
don't want to comp with you too, mate. We fish Sussex a lot together, but you know, Malakuta does have one of the pinnacles on the mainland to win a comp.
Absolutely, mate. It's
And
up there.
That was a pretty classy field of 80 teams, and when you're competing against a super team like Cam Whittam and Warren Carter.
Yeah, well, there was a few there when you talk.
A lot of very strong teams in that one,
There's a few
mate.
good teams there. You've got Slick come out of retirement for a go with Ian as well, I think.
Oh, that was the Big Brim Classic, yeah.
That was a big
Yeah.
Brim, was it? Yeah, but that's been a while since he's fished the tournament.
Yeah, that's right.
And
He might not have his bait soon too, so.
No, that's right.
and next one for you. If you had to use one lure for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I hate to say it, but I think it'd have to be a blade.
Yep, cool.
They catch everywhere, you know.
They do, mate. Yeah.
Pretty versatile.
It certainly turned Brim tournament fishing on its head where, you know, you can have guys that have never caught, I can't say caught a Brim before, but, you know, have very little experience and they catch 5 now, you know. Like, you look at even ABT, you go back years ago when, you know, if you got 5, you're pretty much guaranteed to win.
Yep. Yeah, early days.
Now,
Oh, yeah.
whereas if you don't get 5, well, you're not even in the top 20 probably.
Yeah, some events. And
Blading really turned it on its head, that's for sure.
and we know you've got some other passions in your life. What do you do with your spare time?
At the moment, building a deck.
Building a deck,
You're alluding to my hunting, I'm guessing.
twitching a deck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, you don't mind going out and killing some wildlife, but literally on the way down here, you need to come to Vic and just walk along the side of the road because there was potential for us to nail deer.
Well, you
I
could
do
have.
a few trips a year down in Victoria.
Had them today, Nick. We're going up the river down here today, and I said to Greg, said, "What are they?" And I said, "I think that's 4 kangaroos swimming across the river."
It was,
And it was four
doe.
4 big does.
Well, you wouldn't know what they were, would you? If they were fallow or samba?
There's bloody big
They were
beaches.
Sambo. They weren't fallow.
Swimming, they're probably samba.
They weren't fallow. They were Sambo. Yeah.
And they were big. They were big does. So
Yeah, plenty of.
Good tucker. Should have raced over there your boat and grabbed one.
They were healthy. Oh no, they were out of the water by the time we got there.
You've
But
seen the video over in Canada where the guy jumps in the back of a caribou or a moose?
yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, no, I don't mind harvesting those. Good tucker, free meat, and you know they're a pest that needs to be taken care of. It's not.
There is a lot of them. Yeah, well, that was 4 we seen today in the dam, swimming across the dam. On the way down, we seen Dave and I seen about 4 on the way down actually that were right on the edge of the road, and you look at them and you think, hitting roos are one thing, but they're big, mate.
Oh, they are. Like it's nothing for a mature sandbar stag to be 350 kilos. So you're looking at 600 pounds, 650 pounds.
No, they're all pretty fit and healthy. They were carrying some weight, so.
Yeah.
Sorry for the people that are watching the camera. I heard a noise in the bush and just had to go and investigate.
You're reaching for your Bowie knife, are you?
Man, well, thanks for chatting to us tonight. Really appreciate it.
That's all right, mate. I was watching the podcast before, and you sitting near a road or in the car park. I can't work it out.
Oh no, we're at the house, but I don't know what's going on. I think there was live stream issues because I had perfect service. I tested it out last night, and all of a sudden it didn't work today. So, but we're all good now.
Right. So
You can hear the cars on the road, can you, Nick?
Tomorrow, or you just pre-fishing?
Yeah, no, we're pre-fishing, so we'll go out tomorrow and have another crack.
It might be a bit shut down with this big wet front coming through.
Yeah, well, if it's that wet, we probably won't. Well, we might sleep in.
They're reckoning it's up to 100 mil of rain, so have fun.
I heard.
After
I
lunch.
heard
Will
that.
do, mate.
Heard that. Yeah.
After lunch it'll be.
Better now than when you're down there for a comp.
Oh yeah.
Might lift the lake level a little.
Or at least
down a falling barometer in the wet, you'll do well on the comp, hopefully.
At least if it pours down tomorrow, we can make a decision where we don't have to fish. Where if it was a tournament, we'd be out there in a bad luck.
You just gotta go and do it.
Yeah, that's it. Go catch some deer in your boat if it's raining.
Oh dear. All right, buddy. We'll talk to you later.
All right, boys, have fun.
Thanks,
See you,
mate.
mate.
See you, gents.
The doctor. Oh, hang on. I got messages. I don't know who's messaging me. Over the show. Thanks, Drury. Appreciate it. Ben, yes, I did need to go and check the bushes. Appreciate your support. Look, I'm going to cut it a little bit short. I had a few other things to discuss. One thing I sort of did need to raise, and we've been talking about rules and regulations and events and all this sort of stuff lately as well. There's been some interesting, I'll call them grey areas lately in a few events where and I'll directly quote from the rules that are in place for Bass Australia Nation events, that failure to report violations or suggestions to another competitor that they violate rules. Each competitor agrees to report to the tournament director immediately any violation or infraction of any tournament rules. The problem we got, I think, is that blade. It's a bladed metal, mate. It's a little metal blade. Sorry, but yeah, the headache we got now is and I'll give you a hypothetical situation. You're fishing an event. You're about to run out of fuel. You pull a jerry can out of your boat, you pour it into your tank, and you keep going and you finish the event. In the rules, in the Bass Australia Nation rules, you're not allowed to carry jerry cans, you're not allowed to do that kind of stuff. Now, your co-angler or the non-boater on the boat for the day, according to the Bass Australia Nation rules, each competitor agrees to report to the tournament director immediately any violation or infraction of the tournament rules. Does that happen? No, I don't. I know it doesn't. Do the co-anglers know the rules thoroughly enough to enforce it? I don't think they do. I hate harping on rules, but we know it happens. We know that people push the boundaries and breach rules at almost every event. So until there is a moratorium discussed in regards to people just straight across the board, if you break a rule in any kind of way, your co-angler or someone else on the water you will be disqualified. That's just sort of how it has to happen.
Well, realistically, when you look at it, we're all signing a piece of paper to say that we've read the rules.
Read the rules. Yep.
Everybody should make sure that they do familiarise themselves with the rules. By the way, we're not pointing fingers here. We're just saying.
No. This is all just hypothetical discussion. Look,
people need to know the rules and make sure they've got a pretty good understanding of them.
Yeah, and you could be in a situation where you're, as a co-angler, hypothetically, or non-boater, your boater is speeding. Now, do you stop them? And do you stop them speeding? And we're at a waterway now where the whole basin is 15 knots and the river's 5 knots. Do you stop them from, say, listen, you're speeding, and if they don't stop speeding, do you report them? According to the Bass Australia Nation rules, yes, you have to report them. Well, if you report them, you're disqualified as well. How does that work?
Here's the difference between Australia and what we're following from America, though. In America, they will self-report themselves. Mm-hmm. In Australia, for some reason...
But everything's on footage, but...
That's right, but they'll still self-report themselves. Even when they realise they've making a mistake. I've seen guys put 6 fish in a well, keep fishing and then go, get straight on the phone, ring them up, say, I've done this,
another one.
What do I do? In Australia, we won't do that. For some reason, we will not self-report ourselves, and we have to start being liable for what we do.
I wouldn't say that. Over the years, there's been a couple of people who've walked up and said, listen, I think I've done something wrong.
Okay.
So, I wouldn't say that wholly and solely that happens.
But I haven't seen that happen. So
I have. I can't remember what it was, but there's been a couple of incidents where people have walked up and said to people that, well, I think I might have done the wrong thing. 9 times out of 10, if you think you've done the wrong thing and you go and see them and they think it's pretty minor, they'll probably let it slide anyway. I mean, the guys who run the tournaments out here, all the tournaments out here, they've all been doing it for a long time. They all know pretty well how everything works, and they know that people aren't trying to break the rules. There have been instances where people have broken rules and possibly maybe intentionally broken rules.
Yep.
But it's been dealt with fairly well. There's been a couple of issues in Bass Nation so far since it started, and Drew's dealt with them all fairly well.
Absolutely.
It's all full disclosure. There's no hidden stuff. There's no anonymous reports. It all has to be.
But the key is
done properly.
It has to be reported. That is the key. If it's not reported, no one can do anything about it.
On the other hand, if everybody knows the rules, and somebody is about to do something wrong, well, their boater or their non-boater might pull them up and say, hey, don't do that, it's going to break the rules. And you might save someone from a disqualification that
a lot
was
of the time
unnecessary.
They don't know,
You know what I mean?
you just don't know. A lot of the time, because the rules are, let's say, fairly detailed.
Are.
There's plenty of times where people. My favourite example is, and I'll talk ABT scenario here. But if you've caught 5 bream, and you're in a teams event, you get your 6th. You can't fish until you've upgraded and got rid of it.
Right.
Now, there's plenty of times that I know I've seen it, and I've probably done it off the top of my head, where your teammate is culling the fish and getting rid of the small one and putting the bigger one in there, and you're still fishing.
And you've whacked the next one, yeah.
And you've just belted out a cast, and it happens, and we know that. But look, you know, I won't harp on it, but I think I'm going to have to probably call it there because I know we've gone massively over time. Matty Langford, thank you, yes, and it is a great opportunity to come to Blue Rock and get AY points. We do appreciate that because there's 15 of us. As long as you catch a fish and you don't get minus 20 points off your score.
If you're watching, you're thinking about it, come.
Yeah, please.
It's a great little
it's 2
fishery.
weeks away. They're not. Look, we've been out there today. We've fished our asses off for. I got nothing. Duffy got nothing. I think Beat's got an undersize. They're there. We know they're there. I think they're in a bit of a hiatus period at the moment, changing from God knows looking at the stars to.
It's the water dropping at the moment.
It is. There's a lot of
Water
things
levels
happening.
going down there.
But I'm gonna finish it up there a little bit. What I will say, we do have an opportunity. This gentleman on my left has kindly agreed to offer up a $100 Duff Rods voucher towards a rod, and you've heard him say the prices earlier on, so you know what the pricing structure is like. So, and I'm going to ask a question, and it does hinge a little bit on the rules, and now I'll take answers via the comments or message in regards to the answer, and whoever answers correctly, I'll just randomly draw out the voucher for whoever answers correctly. But
I'm going to get my phone ready.
you got good. You know the question, man. It's written on paper.
I haven't read it.
Oh, okay.
So if I win, who's giving me the $100?
It's your voucher. You
okay.
give it to yourself.
Right.
So, in Bass Australian Asian rules, you hook a fish, you lose that fish, it's on your rod and reel, and it falls over the side of the boat. Bang. If you hook that rod and reel with another rod and pull that rod and reel in with the fish on the end, is that bass legal, or is that fish legal? Shoot the comments away, and we'll give a $100 Duff Rods voucher away to the person that, lucky draw for the people that answers correctly. But guys, I do apologise for all the technical issues earlier on in the night, and greatly appreciate Beats instantly turning on his Wi-Fi on his iPad to try and get service. I don't know why it's any better than the service I've got on anything else, but Benny, you're wrong, try again.
Is that the second answer already?
Yeah, go the other way. You might have a shot. But anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in, and I know we did have some issues earlier on, and we're back here in 2 weeks. We're going to do the next Diamond Dave live again then, and hopefully
Try and get it
I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do.
go?
I literally tested this out last night at like 2 o'clock in the morning to make sure.
That may have been the issue.
Oh, I don't know, man. It's
Two
working
o'clock
fine.
in the morning. Yeah,
It's working fine now. So anyway, this has been Diamond Dave Welfare. Steve, Duffman Duff. Greg, you can't always get what you want, but you try sometimes. You just might find you get what you need. Beatty, and good one, Benny. Yes, it is. Yeah, okay. So you've got both answers, so you know one of them's got to be right. Lovely, and on that note, we'll leave it there, but because we've got to go and get dinner and have a feed and all that sort of stuff. I've got to go and turn the camera off and all that sort of shit too.
Time to sign out.
And
See you later.
gotta get the song out. Oh,
Thank you.
plenty of comments. Beautiful. Watch it on the way home. Thanks, guys. See you next time.
Button. Press the button. Press the button.